What's up, YouTube? This is the Serial Thriller Broadcast, and today I'm going to be talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2003 one. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre stars Jessica Biel and was directed by Marcus Nispel. This is the story of 5 friends on their way to a Lynyrd Skynyrd concert, Freebird, when they pick up a hitchhiker. Now, when the hitchhiker commits suicide in their van, they're plunged into this series of events that leads to them being hunted down by a hulking, psychotic, chainsaw-wielding person and his crazy family. So this movie is a remake of the 70s version and was tasked with bringing the story of the psychotic family and their chainsaw-wielding son to a whole new generation. I'm not going to be comparing the two today because I'm going to be talking about that on my first radio show this weekend on Saturday. Sarah and I are going to be talking about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 remake, and the reboot that came out in 2013. So I'm going to do my best to forget the others exist and just review this movie as it is. Through some slick camera work and creepy visuals, we're dragged through the same story where a group of teenagers who smoke dope and make out and do all that bad stuff are headed towards their doom. Did I say doom twice? This story sounds a little cliche for a slasher film, but my question is that a bad thing? Let's find out. So the characters in this movie really aren't anything special, except for maybe Jessica Biel's character, who's kind of relatable out of all of them. She was kind of the one who seemed the most real. And when you sit back and look at the things she does, she seems kind of like a stick in the mud almost. Like, she doesn't drink with the rest of them, she doesn't smoke weed, she's very concerned with the other people in the story, and there was a reason why, actually. In the original script, her character was supposed to be pregnant. For whatever reason, they cut out that kind of side story, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because it fit perfectly with everything her character does. So it was definitely an odd choice. Now, my next question is, what's one of the most important things about a slasher film? The slasher. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this version, has what I describe as 2 main villains. There's Leatherface, of course, who most people already know about. It's based loosely around Ed Gein, the real-life serial killer who did all sorts of weird stuff with human skin and robbed graves and stuff like that. Now this is a much more extreme version of that sort of same story. And the guy they have playing Leatherface, I'll show him to you on the cover here. He's pretty damn creepy. He's big and he seems unstoppable, and he has really creepy skin masks that he wears throughout the film. There's one point when he cuts off the face of Jessica Biel's boyfriend, and that was a little goofy looking, but the mask that he wears throughout the majority of the film is really creepy. Not to mention the sound of a chainsaw is kind of scary, I think mainly because of these movies. And they use that to pretty good effect throughout. It seems to come out of nowhere sometimes, and when he boots up that chainsaw, you just know something's gonna go down. That being said, I think the real villain of this film was the Sheriff Hoyt, who's played by the guy from Full Metal Jacket, the kind of drill sergeant guy, and he brings a lot of that to this role. He's rude and he's despicable and he has authority, which is probably one of the scariest parts. The scenes with him, I found, were almost more frightening to me, psychologically at least, than the scenes with Leatherface. He wasn't quite as physically imposing, but at the same time he did things that were really over-the-top crazy. And I think that kind of brought a lot more to this movie. In a way, I think he kind of outshined Leatherface a little bit, which was kind of unfortunate. So I obviously bought this movie, but a part of me kind of regrets it. Not because I don't like the movie, but I've seen it many times. It was actually one of the first real scary movies that I ever watched. And it's kind of just become a little bit boring. There was one made after this with the same continuity called Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. And honestly, a lot of the time I get the two kind of mixed up. They have very similar storylines and characters, and they kind of just faded away after a while. They really got to me when I first saw the movie, but I think I got this movie more just to have as part of my collection, but it probably wasn't the best purchase, so I regret buying it a little bit. If you haven't seen it, however, it's probably worth checking out, because the first time I saw it, it was definitely much more effective. This has been the Serial Thriller Broadcast, and if you feel thrilled, chilled, and fulfilled, hit the subscribe button and let me know what you thought in the comments below. I knocked over the iPad.